What's up, fight fans? It's Will and John back once again for another episode after a little kind of mini break that we've had for a while, which it seems to have flew by, but it also seems like UFC 229 or UFC 229 was like ages ago. It seems to be a long time ago, and we've had cards in between then to kind of keep us going until this card here, and this one's just a little kind of appetizer, I think, for 230 and the kind of run in for the rest of the year. So happy to be back. Thank you all for all the support and subscribers that you've shown us just this year in general. Pretty much, it's been pretty overwhelming. Moving forward, getting bigger, getting more views, and a lot of nice compliments as well. So we thank you for that. John, it's been a little break. I haven't spoke to you in a couple of weeks. So we've kind of been MIA from kind of social media for a little bit and just kind of enjoying the time away from the sport for a little bit. But how have you been?
Yeah, I've just been kind of doing MMA training. Really, that's the only kind of connection I've had with it. Other than that, I have been, like you say, just had a little break, just like my body, like a holiday. It's because we've got a lot of cards coming up until the end of the year. You know, it's going to be busy, so I think it was a good idea for us both to have a bit of a rest, and I think everyone else as well at home who enjoy the sport. I apologise as well because this audio recording and video recording, I don't know how it's going to look because it's a new Skype update. It's messed up everything. I couldn't get a load of interviews out, which I feel really bad about as well. So yeah, I got the Chris Fishgold interview out a couple weeks back before the update, thankfully. Hopefully I can get a bit more sorted out and get things going in the future. So I'll look to put more content out. But other than that, bro, just been listening to the news on MMA, just keeping tabs on it. But other than that, it's just been nice to just switch off a little bit. And after the mayhem of 229 as well, I think it was a good thing to let things calm down because there was a lot of negativity going on, wasn't there? So I think that 3-week break is, as much as it is a bad thing having a break, I think for the sport itself and the UFC probably was a good thing.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it was the kind of aftermath of that. It's a shame because that card was really good, and it's kind of all the only thing really being talked about is just the kind of brawl afterwards, which kind of takes away from Khabib, takes away from the spectacle of the whole event. So, but yeah, that was a couple of weeks ago. We're moving on here, and we're in a new place in Moncton, New Brunswick, Canada, which I've tried to think. I think I had a look at a calendar a couple of weeks ago. But I've totally forgot where it is. If it's on the left of Canada, Moncton, New Brunswick. I think it's out on the left-hand side of Canada. I'm not entirely. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, a new place, and we've got a couple of light heavyweights in Volkan Oezdemir and Anthony Smith as headliners here. Fun fight. But of course, we're going to start off in the UFC Fight Pass prelims with a guy from my country. We're starting off with the former Cage Warriors lightweight champion and Stevie Ray as he faces off against Jessin Ayari, who's making the drop down from 170 to 155. And I'm going to let you lead off with this one.
Man, this is a very interesting bout. I think Ayari, he hasn't fought enough. That was my only kind of slight concern, is that the inconsistency. You know, a decision against Till, I think it was as well, and where he held his own, and like you said, at 170, and we all know that Till's quite a large 170 kind of guy. Stevie Ray himself is not a small 155er. He's really quite a thick set. He walks around, you know, God, he's got to be plus 180 easy, you know, even pushing 190. So he's a big 155er himself. Looks in tremendous condition, Stevie. They're kind of similar in their style of striking, though. You know, the nice wide stance, kind of like the point scoring kind of thing. I am interested to see this bout, though, if, for example, I think Stevie might want to try and get this down to the ground. I think he'll want to try and get a bit of top control, and just to get those 3 rounds in. This is like a win. Stevie kind of needs to get that win up here, but it's a tricky opponent. You know, he's got a really tricky opponent. Man, Ayari's. I do like him as a striker. You know, I think he's just an annoyingly good striker. I think he can cause a lot of problems for guys. I'm super interested to see what he looks like at lightweight. Like, honestly, I think he's going to be a bit of a powerhouse. I think he's going to cause a lot of problems for guys. And I think Stevie's going to have a really tough fight, really tough one. I'm trying to be as neutral as I can, because I love Stevie Ray to bits, and you know, interviewed him as Cage Warriors up to the big time. But I think Stevie might come unstuck here. It's horrible to say, but I think the size difference might play a factor if a guy like a welterweight, like say he's going down, welterweight going down to lightweight, could play a factor, but also just the striking. I think the power that he has. I think Ayari's got a bit of a pop in him, and I think at 155 that he'll find that that's his home. That power will be suited for that weight class, and I think Stevie's gonna have a tough time getting him down. I think I'm gonna probably go decision for Ayari because Stevie is a tough son of a gun, and Ayari doesn't quite hit like Felder with those elbows. Woo-wee. But yeah, I'm gonna go Ayari decision, but it's going to be good. I can't wait to see it. I really can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, like this, odds for this card have been out probably close to a week now, and initially, Jessin Ayari was a big underdog, and Stevie Ray was a massive favourite. He was like minus 250, minus 275 in that region. I was like, oh, that's way off. And now it's came back down to where Ayari is plus 135 and Stevie is minus 155, which I think is a pretty acceptable number actually for betting Stevie Ray. Just interesting matchup for the simple reason that, like you said, Stevie could be fighting for his kind of fighting life in the UFC. Ayari's obviously he's moving to a new weight class. He wants to make an impression moving down there. Both guys really low output strikers, and just kind of they don't really push too much, and that's where I think this fight could be very close. It could be little things that determine rounds, and the better fighter who can just get those little spots more, I think, in the fight will win the fight. What I like about this one for Stevie is the fact that he's went back to TriStar, and he's not went there for a few weeks. He's went there for a full 6 weeks before the fight. And I think the best Stevie Ray that we've ever really seen is the guy who's been to TriStar, focused completely on his game without having any troubles with the family. We know he's got his kids and his lovely wife back home, but he's went and left there, and that's a lot of sacrifice. And I think that'll maybe make him a little bit more hungrier for these fights. But Ayari, he's went to ATT for this camp. I think he's been in there pretty numerously with Dustin Poirier before he got injured, and so he's probably got a better training partner than he's ever had before. Ayari gets dropped a lot though in all his fights. Like pretty much every fight he pretty much gets dropped in. I think obviously Till got him a few times. It's a tough one for the fact that I don't see a hell of a lot happening in the fight. So it's who can get those action-packed moments more in the fight. For me, I'm going to go Stevie Ray. I don't really rate Ayari all that much, but I think he could be tricky here because I think he is the bigger guy, a little bit long and rangier. But I think overall, as a mixed martial arts, I think Stevie is a little bit better. Not by huge amounts, but I'm going to pick Stevie Ray via a very close decision. I think it could be either way. I think the early rounds are going to be pivotal in this fight, though. Moving on to the heavyweights, we've got Artem Bulat against Marcelo Golm, and this is one of the ones I wasn't thoroughly kind of looking into until really late on, and it just wasn't one that jumped out at me. There's certain fights and cards that jump out like, oh, I'll watch this first and so on. And for me, this was one of the ones that really wasn't jumping out at me. And then I went and watched it. I actually really like Marcelo Golm in this fight. I'm going to go with underdog in this one. I think that Bulat is obviously what he wants to do. He wants to wrestle. He's predominantly a wrestler, with not much else there. Obviously, he's training with good guys. He's been with DC. He's been around, but he's not a young guy. He's 33 years old, I think, and he lost to Adam Visharek. And like, I don't overly rate Adam Visharek all that much, especially with the way that he lost that one there, where he was in the ascendancy, then lost that fight. But then when you look into someone like Marcelo Golm, who's still really young in the sport, and we really haven't seen all that much of him. And I've had people message me saying, who is this guy? Is he not fought in the UFC? And they've just not obviously went and looked into it. They've been a little bit kind of lazy and not went and seen who this guy is. But overall, I think he's got a a little bit more to him. I think I like his low kicks, which I think could really stop Buller from getting in close. And I think if he can stop some takedowns in this fight, I think that will just discourage Buller altogether. And when it comes to striking, I think that Golm is the better striker. I think he's a better striker at distance. One of the fights that kind of caught my eye was the one against Tim Johnston. Now, I know he lost that fight, but Tim's an awkward guy, big, burly guy. And I thought he did fairly well in that fight, considering Johnson can be a little bit like a bear and he can kind of get you down and be hard to kind of look good against. And he lost the fight, but I'm sure he learned a lot from it. I think if he can stop takedowns, I think he could start to pick at Arjun Bull a little bit. Obviously, if Buller starts getting takedowns and does it frequently, it's going to be pretty kind of one-sided, I think. But I'm kind of going on the fact here that I think he can stop some takedowns early, and that discourages Buller a little bit. And I think just the overall better striking that what Marcelo Golm has will come through here. And I just feel more confident picking the underdog than I do Buller. Buller, to me, is just... He's one of those guys that I think he will beat he'll beat the lowest tier of heavyweights, but I put Visharek in that and he lost. So I'm like, I'm going to go with Marcelo Golm. If I'm going to pick him via decision. Don't think he knocks out Buller. I think Buller is tough. But I'm going to go Marcelo Golm.
Okay. I'm actually going to go Buller. Pretty much because of almost everything you've said. I think it is grappler striker. And the Timothy Johnson fight was the clear one that stood out to me. I thought Gomes grappling in with the underhook barrel, he is going to lose. And against someone like Buller, who's a far more superior grappler than, for example, Timothy Johnson, it's going to show. I think Buller, even if he can't get him down, he's going to keep Gomes up against that cage, and Gomes is going to have no answer for getting out of there and getting off the cage. Even if he tries to, I think that Buller's got the opportunity there for shooting for single legs. Just like low singles, ankles, getting the ankles, any trips. I think Buller's got it, and I think he will get him down. I think he'll get Gomes down. Probably, maybe not the first round, a bit fresher, bit more energy, but second round when the heavyweights come. I think when it comes to grappling, Buller's got the conditioning to be able to grapple for longer. It's just something, being a wrestler, the wrestling background that he has, he's conditioned for that. Like you say, Gomes going to probably land a couple of strikes and Buller's going to have to suck it up and just to get that to close that distance. But mate, I'm kind of like on the flip side of you, where I think Buller's actually going to get the takedowns and get it down to get the decision win. I think he might lose the first round. I think Gomes might have the bit of energy, like you say, that he might have a bit of footwork to get around there and stuff. But I think for like second and third round, from grinding and like maybe late in the first round, he'll be able to just get those rounds under the belt. And I think he'll probably win 2-1. I go 2-1 Buller. If I'm going to pick anyone in this fight, mate.
Interesting. Moving on, this is a fight I'm really looking forward to, and it's more a guy I'm really looking forward to, and it's Don Madge, who makes his UFC debut from EFC, predominantly fought over there for the last few years, and he's coming in here against the guy who fought in Dana White's Contender Show, in T. Edwards. Go ahead.
Yeah, Edwards, he looked exciting on the Dana White Contender Series. He just like calm, and it wasn't a lot to show. He just got the win, landed that one strike, so to speak, and put your man to sleep. So from that perspective, you think, oh wow, it looks. But I think if people don't look at who Don Madge is, you're kind of overlooking what he's got in front of him. Don Madge, I think he's got like something like 100 Muay Thai fights or something. He's actually quite a big star in kind of Thailand and Asia kind of thing. So he's quite a name there. So that dude, he's got the 8 limbs, and he uses them in his fights. He's got beautiful clinch work with the elbows and knees. He can just beautiful boxing for a guy who does Muay Thai, which is quite surprising. What I mean by that is I'm not trying to write off anyone who does Muay Thai. What I mean is that's more, especially classical, the traditional Muay Thai is very much the kicking based side of things, because the way Muay Thai is scored, you get more points for the kicks landing. So, but his boxing, it's legit. He's crisp. He's got nice strikes. I'm not sure how much pop he's putting into them. I think he's more of a volume guy in the sense of it's probably because of the Muay Thai background. It's like, you just accumulate and get those points ahead. So he's fighting a guy in Edwards who likes to explode. He likes to be powerful and hit those strikes. But my more worry of Edwards was, that left, getting that confidence, that swagger, dropping that hand so low. I'm like, dude, you cannot be dropping your hands low, especially when you get to the higher levels, a higher echelon, because you're not like your record. I looked at his record, looked at the guys he's fought in the past. They're not overly exciting. They're not overly great records, not overly strong characters that he's fought in the past. So I think he's got a really tough fight against Don Madge. I really do. I think he's going to be, I think he's probably going to be a bit surprised by what Don Madge can offer on the striking side of things. I think Edwards, hopefully, he can use a bit more wrestling in this fight. I think that would be the go-to thing to do, is try and get Don down. There's no point in messing around. He is a far more experienced striker. He's got more weapons, so why would you waste your time? So, if anything, if I'm Edwards, I want to get the fight down. But I like to think that Don can keep the fight standing. I think Don's going to be a super exciting dude to watch in some of the fights he's going to have in the UFC. So I'm probably going to pick Don here, just because I think the kind of experience that he's got, not just in MMA but outside of the MMA world with the striking, I think it plays into it a big factor. He'll be a lot more calmer, they've got the jitters. He's fighting for so long now. It literally is like us going to work on a Monday. It's just autopilot. So I'm going to pick Don. I'm going to go third round. I'm going to third round TKO. I'm going wild, mate.
I'm going away. I'm a big admirer of what I've seen from T. Edwards, and I've already bet this guy in his last fight in the Dana White show, where he was actually an underdog. And I can see sometimes you go into those fights and you're looking at fighters kind of blind, and I was with T. Edwards. The only reason I really looked into that week of Dana White fights, because I was off holiday, and I had a little bit of spare time to actually have a look and see what was going on. And I looked at the odds and I seen, all right, this guy 6-1, and he's an underdog to a guy who, I looked at his record and he'd fought a lot of nobodies, and I was like, all right, this is interesting. Went back and watched his fights, and I was like, oh, this kid's good. This kid's powerful. He's strong. He's quick, and he's not even using his main strength. And his strength is his wrestling. He is a wrestler. He grew up wrestling. He was in the army wrestling. He does. I think he's still in the army, as far as I know. But that is his main base, is the wrestling, grappling side. But he's obviously shown he's got legit striking, extremely fast hands, extremely powerful. But I do think he is on the weaker side of that against Don Madge. Like you said, he's got 100, I think, well over 100 fights, a lot of experience. He's fought, I want to say, the better caliber of opposition, but I'm in saying that it is in South Africa that I am kind of referring to his the people that he's fought. That was a while ago as well. When you seen some of the guys that he lost, I think Boyd Allen was one of the guys. I remember there's not much tape on the guy, for the simple reason that UFC don't really seem to release too many fights.
No, it's annoying. So annoying, isn't it?
This is really interesting, because I used to purchase some UFC back in the day when I was at work.
You had Danny Henry as well, didn't you, fighting there? So that's where he got his name. Yeah,
there's always been a bunch of stable Scottish guys kind of fighting over there, so that was kind of the interesting bit. And Danny used to fight, I think he fought in the same card a wee back in 2015 with Don Madge, if I remember right. And yeah, this is where I seen him, and I tried to look for the fights again, but they're hard to find. But I was going on kind of previous memory where he where I seen some of his fights, but I also have seen him kind of, I don't want to say quit, because he got hit. Obviously something happened. I don't know whether it was maybe an orbital or something, and he called time out in an MMA fight. And obviously the guy's like, no, I'm going to keep going for you. Oh. And ultimately the fight got stopped there. But the way I'm seeing it, I'm going to go. And also his 3 losses are to the same guy. I don't know if you noticed that. All these losses are to Leon Meinhardt. So yeah, he's not lost to anybody outside.
It's his kryptonite.
Yeah, so this guy knocked him out the first time. That's like I was talking about. He lost a split the second time, and then he lost via submission the third time. So yeah, it's quite funny. And just looking at his record there again, I think I've seen one of those fights. I haven't seen the other two. I think it was the first one. I never saw the other two. But interesting, he's obviously met the guy that he'll probably never ever beat. But everybody else he's did fairly well against. And he's coming off a win over Dave Mazzani. Now, not a lot of people will know who Dave Mazzani is. Obviously, his sister fights in the UFC. But Dave Mazzani's like a wrestler, and a fairly good one at that. And he stopped him via submission in the second round. Now, he's not great, but he's very, very dogged, and he's tough to get out of there. For me, I think I'm going to just pick T. Edwards. I think on the feet, he will realise that he needs to mind his kind of P's and Q's, and that's when he's going to go back into the wrestling, kind of grappling, push him against the cage for kind of takedowns. And then from there, I see him getting to a mount or side control and unloading with strikes. So I'm going to go to Juvie and Edwards I'm going to go TKO in the second round there for me. Moving on, women's bantamweight division of Sarah Moras against Talita Bernardo. And this is another interesting fight I'm looking forward to. Just simple reason that I'm picking the underdog in Bernardo here.
Okay.
I don't rate the fight IQ of Sarah Moras all too much. I think she's got nothing on the feet. She gets hit really easily. No. But she is very, very dangerous and very, very scrappy on the ground. And she's one of those girls with the big thighs, very, very strong. If she gets you in a body triangle or even a triangle, she's a nasty bit. She has got no capable, she will snap limbs if she has to. But Bernardo, I think, has the kind of grappling that can kind of control that and don't get caught. Now, Moras is our most dangerous there, so I'm kind of hoping Bernardo comes out and actually shows she's got some striking acumen. If she has, then she will make winning rounds easier against this girl, because I think she will mix in takedowns. But if she can establish a striking game, which she's never really shown in any other fight, to be honest with you, beforehand, that she could do that, then that would make the fight a lot easier for her to win. She had her moments against Irene Aldana. She did get kind of split up early, but then she's got takedowns and she had opportunities to win that fight, and she's got a very stiffening top game. She's really tough to go off you, and she will land strikes. I just think if she doesn't get caught against someone like Sarah Moras, she's gonna take her down, and she's gonna do enough to win the rounds with that, as long as she doesn't get caught. Now, I'm saying that Moras is very, very tough on the ground, but I just prefer going with Bernardo here. I think obviously she's a little bit older. Her record's not great. It's like 4-3, but her fights have been, I don't want to say close in the UFC, but she's been in them. That loss to Marion Renault. Yeah. I think it was like the last 10 seconds of that fight actually got stopped. So she was never really in the fight per se against Renault, but she was tough to put away. And this is where I think that her toughness and her durability can come through here and beat Sarah Moras. So, but if it's a close fight, a Canadian fighting in Canada, she might get the dirty deal here. But I'm going to pick Talita Bernardo via decision.
I was toying with it as well. It is a tough one, because there was a couple of moments in the Aldana fight on the feet where, but Bernardo did show a couple of good combinations. She showed a good pop in the leg kicks as well, and I went, oh, they'd be suck. That'd suck if they, land a few more of them. But then again, when she was on top, Aldana showed good submission attempts, and that was, especially in guard, she was just a pain in the ass for Bernardo. She just wanted to, get past the guard, land some ground pound, and Aldana was just legit for the arm bars and triangles, and she was close. She wasn't that far off, and that's my only worry as well. I think Moraz, she'll get that, cheesecake or whatever her name is, nickname is. She'll get those arm bars and triangles. I think she's a far higher level grappler than Aldana on the ground. She is she snaps on. She's uber flexible as well. Gosh, she is so, and it doesn't even bother her. When she gets in those what looks like torture to me, some positions, she's cool as she's calm, and she's like, yeah, cool, I'm gonna get your arm in a sec, dude. She's legit. But other than that, there's not a lot else. You know, and this is the problem. Sarah doesn't offer. She marks up. So on a judge's scorecard, if it goes 3 rounds, her face looks like you've just thrown a load of tomato sauce on it. You know, she's just red, bloody, swollen. You know, just she looks, damaged. She doesn't show doesn't look too good damage. And I think Bernardo can crack. I'm the same as you. I think Bernardo can handle it. I think Sarah's a bit of a tough one, though. So I think she's going to be able to tough it out. I think she'll take a bit of a whooping, but I'm going to go decision win for Bernardo. Even though, like you said, record's not great. These bantamweights. Let's be honest. There's a ton of them who are basically 500 fighters. They've got a 500 record almost. It's not super common because they all got pushed in too early, or they get pushed in too early to develop their career, and they pretty much have to lose a couple to start to get their groove, and then they start to be able to build a record. It is what it is. You just suck it up and get on with it. And I think that's what will happen here. I think Bernardo, she's got like two nasty girls. Let's be honest, mate. Her first 2 fights were against badass girls when she was only, in theory, 4-1 early in her career. So let's give her kudos to that as well. Going as far as she did with both of them girls. I think it's a far more winnable fight for her as well. So I'm going to go decision as well, buddy.
Yeah. Moving on, we have a guy that we're pretty familiar with who's making his UFC debut in Chris Fishgold, the former Cage Warriors lightweight champion, who's making the drop down to featherweight against a really tough opponent in Calvin Kattar. So yeah, I don't know is it me or you? So lead off.
Well, it is a tough guy. Calvin is a tough guy. When I first heard the fight, I was like, damn, but people need to understand it. Chris Fishgold ain't no slouch. Fishgold's got a legit record, big ass record. Just they're very similar in their records. Obviously, Calvin's had the advantage of being in the UFC. I've been speaking with Chris Fishgold. I did the interview with him, which is on the podcast. I'll put the link in here so people can see it. It's a delayed debut because he had the issue of his hand, but his weight has been down for a while. So there don't be any issues with the weight side of things. He is more of a 145er. You've seen it yourself, Will, in his fights that you could see he wasn't the biggest 155er. Even Paddy looked bigger than him when Paddy was doing 145. So, this fight is really simple. Calvin's got a jab which he lives off. Calvin uses his jab, and that's why he sets up everything. But he's also a slow starter. Calvin likes to get that first round in, and then he starts to really. You see Calvin just kind of grow as the fight goes on. It's a confidence builder almost for him when he starts landing a couple of shots and getting out there. For me, Calvin just needs to keep it standing. I'm Fishgold. If I'm Fishgold, I'm like, get it down to the ground. That's where my bread and butter is. Oh, apologies. Oh gosh, bit of dust up the nose there. Sorry, folks. Woo. Anyway, yeah. So Fishgold on the ground is a nightmare, ladies and gentlemen. Nightmare. He can do leg locks, chokes, locks on your arms, anything. He is very strong on the ground. He just has to get it down, and if he does, Calvin's going to have a really tough time on him. Because it's not just that side of things; it's the scramble up is what people don't understand. When you see fights and guys break and they get up, Chris Fishgold's very good as well. Just like snatching a guillotine or something like that. He's very good at that. So something Calvin's gonna have to mind himself with in his fight. I think I'd probably go with. I'm gonna go with Fishgold. I think he's gonna come out underdog. He's gonna be a big underdog. He's gonna surprise people. I think he's gonna bull rush Calvin in the first round. It's gonna be a smaller cage, so it's not a big show. So get him against the cage, get him down with like an inside leg trip or something, and just work from the ground and try and get a first rounder. Go all out and get it. I'm going to go with Fishgold submission first round. I'm going crazy with this one, but I think a lot of people are writing Chris Fishgold off because no one's bothered looking at who he is and what he is and what he's done. I'm going Fishgold first round, bro. Going crazy.
Yeah, like I say, I think if he can establish that he is definitely the better wrestler, grappler, submission grappler. And if he can establish that early on in the fight, then that could pay dividends later on. I think when it comes to striking, Calvin's got the more technical, better boxing, some really good combinations. We saw that when he knocked out Shane Burgos. That still one of the nicest I've had in a long, long time. Looks.
And I had Shane already. When I heard that fight announced originally, I was like, Shane, dude hits like a cannon.
Yeah, and Calvin, to his credit, looked absolutely phenomenal in that fight.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, he did.
That's where I'm seeing this is a tough matchup for someone like Fishy coming in here and facing Calvin Kattar. But like you say, if he can establish a wrestling game plan very, very early on, this could start to look really squirrely for Calvin Kattar later on in the fight. Like for me, this card is all about underdogs. I think there's underdogs that are going to hit in this card all the way throughout from top to bottom. We've already spoke about 4 fights, and I've picked 2 dogs in them already.
Yeah.
This one I'm struggling with. I think Chris is very, very live, but I'm just interested to see how, obviously the fight all the way out there in Canada and getting acclimatized, being in a new company. I mean, he was in Cage Warriors for the longest time. And it is the big step up to the big leagues now. So I'm struggling. I really want Chris to win. I think he has got a above average chance of winning this fight if he can establish that takedown offense and stifle the fight away from Calvin. If Calvin starts landing hands early and stops takedowns, it's going to be a long night for Chris Fishgold. I don't know. This is a coin flip for me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Calvin Kattar via decision, but I see it being super close. And I like I say, it wouldn't surprise me if I see Chris Fishgold getting his hand raised in this one here. But I see it being really close. And I think people, if you're taking an underdog shot, I don't think Chris Fishgold's a bad one whatsoever. His odds are good. You're going to get some. If he wins, you're going to make some decent money off him. But I just think I see it being super close in that one. But I'm going to go Calvin.
He's just went, I think Saturday or Sunday, he's went over to Canada as well. Right. So not your typical Tuesday that a lot of fighters do. So he's even went, 3 days in effect earlier. So yeah, just give himself a little bit more time to get ready and weight cut and stuff like that.
So moving on, lightweight division. This to me looks like a setup for Nasrat Haqparast as he faces off against Thibault Gouti. Haqparast, it was a coming out party for him last time against Mark Diakese. Diakese was talking a whole bunch of shit in that fight beforehand, and he got made to pay in that fight in the biggest way, and he kind of made himself look like a little bit of a fool in that one. And Haqparast came in, pretty much dominated him from the opening stanza of that fight and looked awesome. I heard a lot about this guy before he came into the UFC, and I think he showed what he's got, his capabilities in that fight. And I think this is, if it's an easy fight in the UFC lightweight division, this is probably one of the easiest ones you're going to get in Thibault Gouti, who, to his credit, he doesn't really stand out, but he's tough, and he'll give you a fight. Like Sage Northcutt, he gave him a fight and might even won that fight, if we're being honest with you. If different places, if that was in Europe, I probably would have said that he would probably get the decision in that one. But I think he was actually in Texas for that fight, which is the home state of Sage Northcutt. So yeah, for me, Haqparast is just a little bit too good here. Out there in TriStar, he's been getting ready for the longest time. Better training partners, just the better fighter in my opinion, and it's another fight for getting Haqparast to win in the UFC and setting him on his way and giving him an even harder fight and a bigger step-up fight next time out. So for me, I'm going to Haqparast via stoppage at some point in this fight.
Yeah, I'm a bit confused about this fight, if I'm honest with you. I don't know why they made it. To be honest with you, Gouti, he's 2-4 in the UFC. And somehow he's still in the UFC. He literally is just there for people to build off. He's a stepping stone for guys. And like you said, Nasrat, there's not much else to say. He's quicker. You saw what he did in McGee's fight. He's got better combinations. He hits like a freight train. Because he was with King's MMA. So he worked with Rafael Cordeiro for a while. got some good combinations, took some bits of knowledge. He's off there, TriStar, like you say, so he's getting other bits there, and he's just moulding himself to be a better fighter. He is quick. That's the thing about him. He's quick. And Diakese looked like he had a bee's nest put on his face because his face was swollen from getting battered, and he should have, and that's Diakese because he's not that great. But anyway, I'm going Nasrat. I'm going first round. I think he'll absolutely smash Gouti. First round, he's going to put him to sleep and get rid of him.
Yeah. Moving on, welterweights. Interesting matchup here. Two guys coming off losses. So looking to get back in that winning streak again, we've got Nordine Taleb against Sean Strickland.
I think there's only one way you can look at this fight. I think Sean Strickland should. It's for him to lose, if I'm honest with you. And I've never been I never get excited about Sean Strickland ever. I never get buzzing when he's got a fight on, but he's an annoyingly effective fighter. He usually doesn't take too much damage. He's usually quite good at keeping a distance and the footwork. And I think in this kind of fight, Nordine's going to want to come forward, be aggressive, and I think he's going to be a bit caught off guard with Strickland's kind of reach and distance management. And I think he's going to he's going to frustrate him quite a bit. And I think Sean's just going to get the win via, I want to say, submission. I think he can maybe catch Nordine with a counter, put Nordine on Taleb on like Queer Street on the ground, and maybe catch him with submission. Something I don't know why I've got that in my head. I had for a few days now. But yeah, there's something about Taleb because he's too hot and cold. He's way too inconsistent for my liking. I can't stick by him too much. But Strickland is just annoyingly efficient. He's not doing enough for me. He should be putting dudes away way more often than he does. But I just think he can get it. I think if these two go together, I had Sean at the start. I watched some footage, and I'm still going with Sean. I want to say late third round. I want to say like a late third round submission, but it's probably going to be like a decision for Sean. Boring standard thing, but I'll go wild. Late third round sub for Sean here.
Yeah, I'm on the Strickland bandwagon as well. I think that although he's not overly effective, he is pretty decent. I think he's a decent fighter with a pretty good overall game, but he just doesn't push himself or exert himself in fights, and that's starting to show with the losses that he's got. Now, all of his losses are to legit guys, by the way, who I think are close to being ranked.
They're all like top guys, yeah, like Ponzi and all, yeah.
Kamaru's a ranked guy. Zalesko de Santos is right on that cusp of being a ranked guy who's got a great fight. Li Jingliang coming up in China, which looks like it's going to be an absolute banger of a fight. But when you give him any other fighter outside those upper echelon guys, he looks really, really good. Win over Tom Breeze, I think, is a good win. A win over Alex Garcia is a good win. And yeah, he's the one thing that I always think about when I say Sean Strickland's name. A really good straight jab. If you have that, it makes a big difference with getting on. Now, he doesn't really show much else when it comes to his striking, let's be honest. But when you have as good a jab as what that guy's got, he can beat you up, turn your face to mush, and that can be a big thing for the refs to see. Nordine, I'm kind of thinking about whether he's at the tipping point of his career, where is he going to just dip in the next couple of fights and not be in the UFC anymore? Because I'll be honest, I did not see that loss to Claudio Silva coming. Claudio Silva's an absolute gangster.
No one saw that coming. No way.
He's a gangster, so he's Claudio Silva. He's a nice guy as well.
Super nice dude. Yeah.
Hopefully we'll get to see him again very, very soon, because he was out a long time, and I remember him telling me about his illness that he had, and which was legit. His last two wins over Leon Edwards and Nordine Taleb. Now the rest, like the only two fights in his last 4 years, but still, winning those fights it's something nice to have on your resume there. So for me, I think Sean Strickland's I think he's the more well-rounded fighter, but someone like Taleb is dangerous. When he wins fights, he wins against pretty decent guys. I mean, Danny Roberts is a good guy. Looked good against Li Jingliang. Knocked out Eric Silva. But I think Sean Strickland's the better fight. I think he's going to shorten this one here. I'm going to go Sean Strickland via a decision. Could be a split, could be close, but I like Strickland to, like I say, use that jab. I think he can maybe mix in takedowns as well. So Sean Strickland for me there. Moving on to the Fox Sports 1 card. Welterweight division, we have Alex Garcia against Court McGee. And it's one of these fights that is a kind of crossroads fight for both guys, and it's not one I'm overly looking forward to, if I'm being honest with you. Court McGee, like, really tough. As tough as they kind of come, but I think the durability is starting to kind of wear a little bit. You can see in his last 5 or 6 fights, there's more losses in there over wins. And this one, to me, it's got like two guys are really just going to meet in the middle. I think they're going to exchange a few strikes, then I think they're going to clinch up a lot. And the guy who can just win those clinch battles and show a little bit more will win the fight. You can never count out someone like Court McGee because he is very, very tough and he is durable. But I'm starting to think that's starting to decline a little bit, and I think it's starting to wane. For me, I like Alex Garcia a little bit more. I think he's got a little bit more pop in his punches. I think that he's just overall, I think he's a little bit fighter when it comes to like techniques and so on, but he does gas, and someone like Court McGee really doesn't gas. He comes from Utah, where they fight hard at their elevation, so those guys are hard to put away. But I think the more finishing prowess comes from Garcia, but the toughness and the durability might come from Court McGee. I see this being a close fight. I'm going to go Alex Garcia, though. I'm not super confident, though.
Yeah, I'm not overly excited about this fight. It's a fight. The only reason it's on the main card is because Alex Garcia is Canadian. That is the only reason it's on the main card. The both of them are in. Yeah, I think Court McGee's more in danger of the pink slip than Alex Garcia. I think Alex Garcia will probably get a 2-1 victory here. First 2 rounds, he'll have just enough in his tank to just put a bit more hurt on Court McGee. And then Court McGee, like you say, he is tough and he is durable and he has got good condition. I think that's what we'll see him through to the end of the decision. I think he'll get there. 3rd round is when he'll probably have a bit more success, maybe with some grappling exchanges or takedowns. But other than that, man, decision 2-1 Garcia. It'll be a forgettable night, that fight. Honestly, I was hard watching the footage, but yeah.
Yeah. So moving on, light heavyweight division. This fight could either go one way or the other. It's Gian Villante against Ed Herman. How you see it going?
It's just going to be 2 guys who are just going to stand and bang. You know, they'll have no interest in going for takedowns, which is kind of like cool. We know what we're going to get. We're going to get a bomb burner, so we can't argue with that. Is it going to be the most technical? No. Is it going to be fun? Probably. Because, like, who doesn't love Gian Villante? He's a funny dude. He's a funny guy as a person. And in his scraps, he just, you know what he is? Ed Herman, he's been around a long time. Dude can throw down, you know? He could, like, in that CB Dollaway fight, he almost put CB Dollaway away in the first, minute when he cracked him. You were like, dude, if only you just stepped off a little bit, that fight, you could have had that away pretty early on. And that's something that people always forget. Ed can crack. You know, that dude legitimately has good pop in his hands. And I'm going to go with Ed in this one because it's a 50-50. It literally is who lands first and lands on the right spot. Trust me, if it goes to the 3rd round, people, it's going to be tough viewing. Let's just hope they put each other away. But I'm going to go with Ed just because he is really experienced. He was fighting down at 185 for the longest time. He's doing a 205 fight. He just can't be arsed making the weight. There's no need. He's not going to fight for the title. He knows that. He ultimately wants that 3rd fight with Jacare, isn't it? Jacare, yeah? Yeah, I think Ed wants that. Was
Oh,
it
that's
third?
Chris,
Was it
was it? I think Chris Camozzi.
Chris Camozzi? Sorry, I'm getting mixed up here. I think. But who did he fought? Who did he fought in Strikeforce? He did fight in Strikeforce, didn't he? Jay did.
Yeah.
But I think Ed wants to. I think Ed just wants to fight for fun now, a bit of cash and get on with it. You know, he's not got long left. He knows it himself. I think he'll get it though. Experience, knowledge. I think he's just got a bit more pop than Mr. Villante. I'll probably give it to him. But I'm not expecting anything exciting apart from just two dudes brawling.
Yeah, I'm kind of. I really do not give two shits about this fight. And
no.
There's a lot of fights on. There's some intriguing ones, but this one to me, it's just like I won't.
It's like the one below. It's like the fight below,
I,
mate.
Yeah, I think I'll watch the Fight Pass prelims, but I'm not watching any more of this card. This is one where I'll definitely be going to bed and waking up in the morning and watching it as soon as I wake up. It just does not appeal to me, this card at all. These are these filler cards that I don't really think are needed. Like,
no.
I would have happily taken another week off and went to 230, and you could have put maybe Volkan and Smith on that card or something. It just, this card, you could have put Gian Villante. He's from New York. You could have put him on there.
Yeah.
Gian's got the more power. I think he's got the power that lasts more throughout the fight, but he does gas bad. But I do think that he's got a little bit more pop in his punches. I think that he can find the chin of Ed Herman. But would it surprise me if Ed Herman was to get something off in Gian Villante? Absolutely not. Just looking at it, I only literally watched, I think it was one fight of Gian Villante and one of Ed Herman. I did not watch too much in this. I really got no interest in this fight whatsoever. And I shouldn't really be saying that, but I think I'm going to go with the favourite in Gian Villante over Ed Herman. I think Ed Herman's like, he can't be far off 40 years old now. He's been around a hell of a long time. He's been knocked out a few times, brutal knockouts as well. Derek Brunson, Krylov a couple of years ago cracked him with a head kick.
Krylov,
yeah. But like I said, if Gian Villante, if this goes into second, then his chin's going to be there to be hit as well. So I'm going to go Gian Villante via knockout in the first. I think he catches him early and he stops the fight. But it's
we hope.
That might be one that I'll put on ×2 speed and watch it. So yeah. And another fight which really doesn't have my attention all too much.
Why is it on the main card?
Andre Soukhamthath against the newcomer and Jonathan Martinez. Is this you or me that's doing this?
You, because you've just done them last year.
So initially when I first heard this, like Gavin Tucker and Soukhamthath match, I thought, interesting.
Yes.
Tucker's coming back off a really brutal fight against someone in Soukhamthath who, I don't know how you can explain that last fight against Sean O'Malley. I really don't. As a professional fighter, to not know that guy was hurt, he was disabled. You just let him get back to his feet. He probably couldn't be able to get himself back to his feet, but you decide to engage with him on the ground, and then he had the absolute gall to put his hands in there, thinking he won that fight, and I was like, wow. And I said to myself, like, I don't care who it's against, but I am not picking Andre Soukhamthath again in a UFC fight. So I was probably going to pick Gavin Tucker, and then he pulled out with an injury. And Jonathan Martinez comes in. Went and watched a little bit of him. Solid is all I can really say. But he's a flyweight, and he has got takedown defense. So when it comes to striking, he has got takedowns, also offense, I should say. But again, he's a smaller flyweight. But he won't have to cut as much weight for this fight, so that might kind of help him for the 15 minutes. I think he is going to look for takedowns. Soukhamthath, I think, is the better striker. He can hit you with some hard shots, but it's pretty clear that guy's not got much of a fight IQ after his last fight, and I don't care. I'm not picking. I don't think I can pick a guy that showed me what he did in that last fight and go back and try and be confident in him. So give me the newcomer. Like I say, I'm not giving two hoots about it, but give me the newcomer to get some takedowns, not get caught with a shot, and come in here and kind of shock some people, I think, because I think a lot of people, when a new guy comes in that they've never heard of, they kind of write them off pretty instantaneously. I don't think he's great. but he gets in the door in the UFC. If he wins this fight, I can see him maybe moving down to 125, his natural class. Give me Jonathan Martinez to win via decision, and Andre Cirkunov to just kind of look silly as he has done in the past.
Just take my money, bookies. Just put it all on Martinez. I don't think if anyone puts any money on Andre, you're out of your mind. It's ridiculous, honestly. I'm not going to go on about how much of a moron he was, but he is. I'd even say it to his face, people. Partly because I've best part nearly £100 over him, but he's a moron. All right, end of. I'd even tweet him now. I don't care what he says. All right, he's an idiot. Can defend himself all he wants, but he can't. Martinez, though, mate, that dude is legit on his back. That kid is legit. Like, that dude has got nice armbar. He's got nice submissions. The kid is good, man. I quite like him. I think he's exciting. He's got balls. He goes for it. He's got like that Mexican kind of heart about him. He's got that Latino spirit. He's way up for it when he fights. He was on Combate Americas. He was on there. The only issue I think he's only had 2 fights in the past 2 years. I think it is. And it's not his fault though, because I think he's had like 4 or 5 fights drop out. So it's not his fault, to be fair. He's just had fights drop out, so it's not something you can have a go at someone for. But man, I think he's gonna. I'm gonna pick him. End of. I'm not picking Andre. I don't care who Andre fights. Andre could fight. Who's the one that Lob? He could fight. Who's the lad that he could fight? Angela Magana, and I'd still pick Angela Magana. I'd pick Caitlin Curran. Whatever her name is. I'd still pick her over him. Right? Never am I picking Andre ever. All right, he blew it. He blew it for everyone. He's not even his own mum and dad won't pick him. You can stop. Just get out of there, kid. All right, end of. Next fight.
Yeah. I'm like I say, I'm not going to disagree with you. Let's just move on. Misha Cirkunov, Pat Cummins. The actual betting line for this fight really surprised me. Looking at them right now, that Misha Cirkunov is pretty much a -500, a 5-1 favourite over Pat Cummins, and I don't know where the bookies get the betting confidence in Misha Cirkunov, because I've got zero confidence in Misha Cirkunov. Honestly, the one thing I'll let you go with this. I don't know really what I'm thinking with this fight. Go ahead, you go with it.
It is almost.
The betting lines are just I'm looking at them and I'm just like.
But have they changed since last week? Was it that high last week? That's the thing you've got to look at.
It was high last week. Remember?
I think Cirkunov should be the favourite. I think he should be the favourite, but not a massive favourite, because Cummins is just annoying. You know, he's not a great striker, but he's got good wrestling. Now, Cirkunov is apparently a black belt in jiu-jitsu. Apparently. But what happened was, Glover Teixeira went, motherfucker, I'm a black belt in jiu-jitsu. And then he owned him on the ground and pummeled him into it. All right, and then you saw what a real black belt is. And you saw there that Glover's a legit black belt, like a high level. There's different levels of black belt people, and Glover showed that he's a good kind of practitioner of jiu-jitsu and a level of black belt. Cirkunov, he's got a good pop though, and my only issue is Pat Cummins, that chin, that lack of good striking, which he has none of, lack of head movement. That's my only concern, because Cirkunov comes out and he is throwing heavy. He's throwing hard. But Pat Cummins, the thing is with the weight classes, when you get to light heavyweight and heavyweight, age, there is no such thing as an age barrier. You can get away with being an old fart in that division. All right, somehow it kind of suits you being older. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like a knowledge thing and experience as well, all play a part. But I'm gonna just pick Cirkunov with a KO win, because I just don't have any faith in Pat Cummins and that chinny chin of his. He's the only way Pat Cummins can win is wrestle for 3 rounds. That's the only way Pat Cummins can win. But I don't think he's going to be able to, because as we see Cirkunov, literally doesn't know what a carb is, and it's just shredded beef meat machine, and he can probably just he'll be able to power out of Pat Cummins a bit, and I think as long as he can get some strikes off, it'll put Pat off. No confident in either guy, but I only put it there because I just don't feel confident in Pat's chin. So I'm going to go Cirkunov. Second round TKO. If you crack him, put him on his butt, and then just obliterate him with some ground and pound.
Yeah. Well, when you look at Misha Cirkunov's last 2 fights, he gets blasted. So the guy's obviously not got the best of chins.
The Glover one was on the ground, though. To be fair, it was like he had his back and he pummeled. So it wasn't because he was on the ground because he got pummeled down.
I still don't trust him. I don't trust his chin. I don't. Not even someone like Pat Cummins, who just swings wildly and is there himself there. But he's got a game where he could take him down and potentially, if he could put Cirkunov on his back, could maybe win the fight. It's just hard to see him doing that consistently for 3 rounds. And once you give the opportunity to someone like Cirkunov on the ground, he will gobble it up. And he did that with, who was it? Krylov. I was pretty high on Krylov in that fight there, and he came out and got a finish in that one. And I'm just struggling with this fight because I'm not confident in Cirkunov. I don't know how anybody could really be confident in Pat Cummins. The fact he's a wrestler could maybe grind him out. For me, I just think it's honestly, flip a coin, heads Cirkunov, tails Cummins. I'm going to go Cirkunov via submission in the second round, maybe an arm, maybe like I'm thinking a head and arm choke or something like that. I think he could find a way there, but honestly, I'm no confidence. Don't know how people could throw money on this fight with any confidence either. But different people see different things. But for me, I'm staying well clear, and I'm going to pick Misha with probably a 1% confidence over Pat Cummins. So yeah. Moving on to the co-main event of the night. This was supposed to be Sabera Tuhugov against Artem Lobov, which I'm kind of glad that fight's not happening.
Why is it not happening, Will?
Yeah, the thing that happened in Vegas, and Zabara decided to jump into the octagon, and he kind of got countered with a right hook, I think, by McGregor.
Nice was the counter.
It was probably the best shot he landed the entire fight as well.
It was so nice.
Yeah, and Michael Johnson steps in here, so I think this is a very, very winnable fight for the GOAT, not called Artem Lobov. I think if Michael Johnson really, if he puts everything together like he has shown in the past, he's super dangerous, especially early on in the fight with his hand speed and his combinations. That he's a tough guy. But then you've got someone in Lobov who you could hit all day long, and he's still there, and all it takes is one really hard shot, and this guy can hurt you. So, is this the swan song for Artem Lobov in the UFC? I believe it will be. I don't see how they can really keep him around, not unless they've got fighters there that they can give him that maybe want to feed wins or so on. I just don't know how they're going to keep him around after this one. And it's weird because it's like a year between fights for Artem Lobov, and Artem's not really like that. He usually fights at least 3 times a year, so I don't see him being rusty. Maybe that year off's actually helped him, but I think the change in opponent, I think was already a tough fight against Tuhugov, but I think it's a very tough replacement, and a guy in Michael Johnson who I think is the more technical, crisper striker, will get off first before Artem does. Artem, Michael's, everything's there, and then he can use his hooks, where Artem's really just all hooks, so he's there to be countered for the majority of the fight. If Michael Johnson wants to use some of his wrestling, I think he could. I just see Michael Johnson over 15 minutes just being the quicker to the punch and just beating Artem over 15 minutes pretty comprehensively. So I'm going to pick Michael Johnson via UD.
I'm picking Johnson too, my man. As much as Artem's a great guy, and ladies and gentlemen, he is such an awesome dude in person. Like, no bullshit, he's such a nice guy. And so is Michael Johnson. Don't get me wrong, Michael Johnson's a great dude as well. But for me, Michael Johnson, yeah, that's speed. Speed kills is the best way to put it. Man, his hands are just disgusting how quick he is. And at featherweight, he's still just as quick. You know, he'd maybe even be a little bit quicker if you were to measure it. Artem is not a dude. He likes brawls. Artem is a brawler, you know. And Michael Johnson's not. Michael Johnson is a tactician. He likes to pop, and get out. Angles, footwork, all that good stuff, and he does it well. And he has got a good wrestling side to him as well. He has actually got some good takedowns. He's good at timing them well. And I think he will. I think he will mix it up in this fight. I think you'll see Johnson land the shots, get the takedown, and he won't even try too hard to keep the takedown. I think he'll just get it to get, knock a point, score the round, so to speak. But yeah, I just don't see where Artem's. It's one of those one-off shots he gets to win. Is how Artem can win, like just landing one of those crazy hooks, those berserker kind of moments. But I've got clear, maybe like a 30-26 to Michael Johnson. That's how confident I am that he'll be able to have a field day with this one. So I'm going to go with Michael Johnson. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're moving on to the main event now. And
wait there, bro. Can you? Seems your camera has stopped. You're frozen. It looks like you just smelled someone's fart and you pulled a face like.
Are we good there? Are we good?
Right. It's all pixelated. You're internet. Yeah. Here we go. It's all pixelated. It's like we're on LSD.
I wish.
We should do an episode on LSD. That'd be great, people. Yeah. So go on. Main event.
Main event. Well, this one that's actually got more interesting to me as the fights got closer, and probably will do. It's Volkan Oezdemir faces off against Anthony Lionheart Smith. How do you see the main event going down?
Well, they're doing all about Anthony Smith's got so many finishes and Volkov's finish. They're different finishes first and foremost. Volkan hits you and you go to sleep. Anthony Smith wears you down and beats you down. They're two different strikers, very different. I'm super curious to see how Volkan comes off out this after his last fight with DC, where nothing happened. He didn't get anything off. He didn't do anything. He fought horribly in that fight because Anthony Smith does not usually start the first round really well. Let's take away the Rashad Evans fight, because Rashad was already pretty much 2 feet out the door anyway. And it was an easy, in my opinion, it was a very easy winnable fight for him. Shogun, kudos on that one. But I think that Anthony Smith, he always comes into the fight, usually 3-round fights anyway. So second and third round is when he comes alive. It's probably the worst kind of mix you want to have, because Volkan, he's going to hurt you in the first round if he lands. He cracks so hard. And I think the biggest one was when you saw him do the Jimmy Manor was so quick, everyone was like, what the hell happened? And it was the smallest punch, and that's still... And he did it to Cirkunov as well. I think he just literally flicked him and he knocked him out. So it still bugs me. I'm it's still in my head going, dude, that dude he just touches you and you go to sleep. Anthony Smith he's been put on Queer Street a lot of times. I know his experience. He's a lot better at 205. It's a horrible one to pick. Honestly, it's a horrible one because it is. If it goes 5 rounds, I'd probably pick Anthony Smith because I don't know how the condition's going to be for Volkan. I'm going to go with a crazy decision. I'm going to go crazy here. I'm going to pick 3rd round Anthony Smith. I think he somehow makes it through the first round. I think he gets absolutely mollywopped in the first round, but somehow makes it through. And then Volkan's probably blown a bit of his gasket. And then he can just those front kicks that Anthony Smith can throw, just hitting those body shots, just taking the gas tank out of Volkan, gets the 2nd, 3rd round and can lay it on him a bit more. So I'm going to go Anthony Smith, but I'm not overconfident. I am not confident on either one of these dudes because I still don't see either one of them as the top echelon in the light heavyweight division. But Volkan could easily put Smith away in the first, just touch him. So not confident, but I'll go Smith 3rd round. Why not?
Yeah, this is. I'm going to put my kind of hand up straight away. I don't rate Volkan Oezdemir at all. I still think the guy's a big mystery. I think that, you've got that Manama fight, you've got the Cirkunov fight, and he won those fights pretty convincingly, but it's like, it looked like he didn't land all too much in that fight. So you don't know whether this guy's kind of got obscene power, or maybe his opponents have walked onto the right shot, and it's put them down. And we've seen once he made that step up against DC, he got absolutely blitzed and had no right being in that octagon whatsoever. And it's crazy to me that you can class this guy as I don't think he's a top 5 in that division. I really don't. I think he's right at the cusp there. But people are saying, he's the number 2 light heavyweight in the world. I'm like, dude, that means you're putting him ahead of Alexander Gustafsson, and so on. Like, even if that means if Ryan Bader was probably in the UFC, I'm maybe putting Volkan ahead of Ryan Bader. Come on, dude. It's like, don't give me that shit. I think it's KO or a bust for him early, and if he doesn't do it, I think the lion heart in Anthony Smith is going to come through here, and he's going to wear down Volkan, and he's going to take him out. I know I've got a lot of friends who are talking absolute mean shit on Anthony Smith because they bet on Volkan, and they think this guy is the new god or something. But he is absolutely. I honestly don't rate Volkan Oezdemir. I don't know what it is. He's maybe a nice guy. I just don't know whether I like his personality or whatever.
He is a nice guy.
I don't think I just don't think he's a great fighter, and he's still a big mystery to me, and I still think he can be put down. I picked Smith against Rashad Evans because it's Rashad Evans and he was the way out. I picked Shogun against Smith, thinking that it could get into a brawl and that could maybe suit Shogun. But obviously that Smith has got that big power, and if he hits you with it, it hurts you, it puts you down. I think Volkan can be put down with the strength and just the durability of Anthony Smith late in this fight. So for me, Anthony Smith has to survive early. If he survives early, I think the longer this fight goes on, the bigger favourite he becomes. If you go back and watch the OSP fight with Volkan, he clearly gets hurt in the 3rd round and he's wobbling everywhere. I know it was in short notice, so you maybe have to take that into consideration a little bit. For me, I'm just going to go with someone. I'm going to go with a guy who has got the heart of a lion, and if it goes late, we've seen that he finishes fights late as well. He did it with Lombard. He did it with he did it with a couple of other guys as well. Can't remember off the top of my head, but he will keep going, and I think he will catch Volkan with a shot. So KO bust, KO early for Volkan, or I think he gets taken out. I'm going to go with him getting taken out in the 3rd, 4th round of this fight by Anthony Lionheart Smith. So like I said, I think this is an appetizer for UFC 230, which is definitely a lot better card than this one.
Yeah, because they'll advertise. You see, they'll advertise 230 on this card.
But like, what's that really doing though? It's like, it's many people like. Honestly, I watch a lot of fights, but honestly, this fight card, I have pretty much zero interest in it. Outside Stevie and T. Edwards, and I am kind of interested in the main event. Outside that, it does nothing for me. And Fishgold.
I'm interested to see how Fishgold performs.
Yeah, of course. I forgot about Fishy, but it's just a filler card.
Yeah,
and
it's also, you got to remember, they've got 600 fighters. They've got to get them fights.
Yeah.
It's kind of getting those guys fights and girls, give them the fight because you've got to give them fights.
Yeah, and I don't usually put down fight cards, but this one just does not appeal to me. I'll be watching it in the morning. I'll not be checking my phone through the middle of the night for results or so on. I'll not be checking DraftKings. I'll not be checking, we're going to go into my bet for this card. Honestly, I think I'm going to give this card a miss for bets. The only thing I'm even thinking of is Marcelo Golm. Yeah, Marcelo Golm is the only one I'm looking at. And I think the other one that kind of appeals to me is Stevie Ray if the line comes down a little bit. Apart from them two, I really don't. Like I say, there is underdogs, I think, to be had in this card, but I've just got no confidence in picking many of them. So
See, I'm thinking prop bets maybe. I'm thinking, like
maybe.
you say,
Yeah,
Anthony Smith later on in the rounds. The fight goes that, or you got Jonathan Martinez submission win maybe, because he is legit on the ground. So I'm trying to think about maybe if there's people you're not sure about, maybe kind of some one or two prop bets, like there's decision wins, there's decision bouts there that we talked about quite a lot. Maybe there's some plus 1.5 rounds and stuff like that maybe.
Yeah. No, like I say, T. Edwards was one I originally wanted to bet huge. I was staying very quiet. People were asking me who do you like. I'm saying nothing, because if I say something, the lines will change. He came out as a massive favourite. In fact, he came out as a massive underdog, but they messed up the line and then reversed.
Got it.
I like Stevie. I think he's minus 150 over here, so that's kind of interesting to me. Golm's plus 185, and I like T. Edwards via TKO. If that's the way he's going to win that fight, but I don't think it's a good card for betting. I think there is better cards coming ahead just by looking at the fights and looking at some of the numbers beside their names. But this is a tough one. I would keep your money for 230, and because I think there is obviously better fights in 230, and that there's better matchups, and if you into it closely, you can get yourself some value there. So, but yeah, that's our picks for UFC Moncton, UFC New Brunswick, UFC I think Fight Night 138, whatever it may be. We'll be back next week for UFC 230, which is a better card than this one, a little bit more worthy of watching in the wee hours than this one here. But as always, we thank you for the support. Keep clicking that button up in the corner there, subscribe, keep hitting the wee thumbs up button, give us a like, comment with your picks, and I don't know if you've got anything to add before we go, but for me, thank you very much. John, you can close us out.
Thank you. Hit subscribe. Keep enjoying. Comment down below. Simple.